The ghost lights? Right now, there are over 2,200 documented reports of the moon doing something it has absolutely no business doing. Glowing red, flashing white, turning orange in one single spot, and then going completely back to normal as if nothing happened. Scientists have a name for it: transient lunar phenomena. But having a name for something is not the same as understanding it. And after centuries of sightings from Arab scholars in the 900s to professional astronomers with modern telescopes, nobody has a solid explanation for what is actually causing this. Here is what makes it genuinely uncomfortable. About 1/3 of all reliable reports cluster around the exact same location, a crater called Aristarchus, not scattered randomly across the surface, the same spot over and over across hundreds of years. The leading theory is that gas is leaking out from inside the moon, pressure building beneath the surface, releasing through cracks, and briefly reacting with sunlight in a way that makes it visible from Earth. But that has never been confirmed. What was confirmed is this. In 2019, the European Space Agency set up a dedicated monitoring system just to watch for these events, and they are still happening. Whatever the moon is doing up there, it has not stopped. The Apollo photos? In 2026, the Pentagon quietly released a set of documents that most people scrolled past without a second thought. Inside those documents were photographs. Specifically, photographs taken during the Apollo missions that the government has now officially flagged as containing unidentified anomalous phenomena. One image from Apollo 17, taken in December of 1972, shows 3 bright dots arranged in a perfect triangle above the lunar horizon. Officials reviewed it and stated, the objects appear to be, and these are their words, potentially the result of a physical object. Not a camera artifact, not a reflection, a physical object. Now, the skeptical explanation is reasonable. Space debris, sunlit dust, lens flare from shooting in an extreme environment. NASA is not claiming anything extraordinary. But here is what they are also not doing. They are not closing the file. The images are being re-examined. The original film is being reanalyzed. And the conclusion so far is that there is no consensus on what those 3 dots are. The astronauts were 238,000 miles from Earth. Nobody else was supposed to be up there. The music. In 1969, 3 astronauts flew behind the moon. The moment they crossed to the far side, all communication with Earth cut off completely. It was just the 3 of them, in total silence, in a spacecraft traveling above a world with no atmosphere and no radio signals of any kind. And then they heard music. Not a melody, not a voice. A strange, oscillating whistling sound coming through their headsets. Low, rhythmic, and completely unexplained. Mission Commander Eugene Cernan turned to the others and said, "You hear that? That sure is weird music." NASA recorded it, filed it, and did not tell the public for decades. When the audio was finally digitized and released, scientists offered a theory. Charged solar particles briefly interfering with the radio equipment, but the moon has no atmosphere, no magnetic field capable of producing that kind of interference, and no rings like Saturn where a similar effect had been observed elsewhere. The crew heard it for almost an hour, then it stopped, and when they came back around to the near side and re-established contact with Earth, nobody brought it up. Whatever that sound was, it has never been reproduced. And the official explanation to this day is listed simply as unclear. Reiner Gamma. There is a painting on the moon. Nobody put it there. It has no edges, no borders, no crater underneath it, no ridge or hill to explain it. It is just a vast, swirling pattern of bright white tendrils curling across the dark surface like brushstrokes, roughly 60 kilometers wide, completely flat. And it has been sitting there for millions of years. It is called Reiner Gamma, and scientists genuinely cannot agree on what made it. The strongest current theory involves magnetism. The swirl sits directly above a magnetic anomaly buried in the lunar crust. That magnetic pocket apparently deflects the solar wind, the constant stream of charged particles that slowly darkens the moon's surface over time. The areas protected by the magnetic shield stay bright. The areas outside it darken, and over millions of years, the contrast between them forms the pattern you can see. But that raises a deeper question. Why is there a magnetic pocket there at all? The moon does not have a global magnetic field. It lost that billions of years ago. So what created a localized one, right there, under one of the most visually striking features on the entire lunar surface? A 2024 study suggested ancient lava cooling beneath the surface may have locked in magnetism from a time when the moon still had a field. A rover is being sent to find out. For now, the painting stays unexplained. The far side? Every map of the moon you have ever seen shows you the same side. The near side, the face that has been staring at Earth for 4 billion years without ever turning away. And most people assume the other side is probably similar. It is not even close. The far side of the moon is a completely different world. The near side is smooth, dark, covered in vast ancient seas of hardened lava called Maria. The far side is pale, brutally cratered, and almost completely empty of those dark patches. The crust on the far side is also about 20 kilometers thicker. Here is why that matters. When the moon first formed, it was extremely close to a very young, very hot Earth. The near side baked in that heat for millions of extra years. It stayed molten longer. And in that molten state, it allowed lava to flood the surface, creating the smooth, dark plains we see today. The far side cooled quickly, hardened early, and built up a thick, cratered shell that was never reshaped. Two completely different geological histories on the same object, separated only by which direction it was facing 4.5 billion years ago. The far side has been photographed. It has been landed on. But the full explanation for why those two faces are so dramatically different is still, technically, an open question in planetary science. The water. For most of the 20th century, the moon was considered one of the driest objects in the solar system. Airless, waterless, dead. A rock in orbit with nothing chemically interesting left on it. Then, in 2020, China's Chang'e 5 mission brought back 1.7 kilograms of lunar soil. And when scientists analyzed it, they found water. Not just traces, not just a hint. Water molecules bonded directly into the outer layer of the soil grains themselves, in some samples, up to 2% of the grain's outer surface by weight. On a world with no atmosphere, no weather, no oceans, no rivers, ever. The leading explanation involves the sun. Solar wind constantly fires hydrogen particles at the lunar surface. Those particles bond with oxygen already in the minerals. And over millions of years, they quietly build up into water, locked inside the very structure of the rock. But here is what nobody has explained yet. The moon's surface gets extremely hot during the lunar day, hot enough that any surface water should evaporate instantly into space. So how is it still there? What is trapping it? Why does it survive? The water is real. The mechanism keeping it there is not fully understood. And if we are going to build a base on the moon, which several countries are now actively planning, that is not a minor detail. That is the entire question. Every one of these mysteries has been studied for decades. Some have rovers headed toward them right now, and not one of them has a complete answer. The moon has been 238,000 miles away this entire time, and we are still only beginning to understand what it actually is.